Well, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn,
Here.
Commissioner Willis,
Here.
Commissioner Aguirre, here. Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Becker, Commissioner Browning, Commissioner McKenzie, Commissioner White,
Present.
alternate Commissioner Von Wilpert is absent. Alternate Commissioner Drake is absent. Alternate Commissioner Montgomery Stepp is absent. Alternate Commissioner McCann is absent. Alternate Commissioner Delaney.
Here.
So there is a quorum with 8 voting members present, and the meeting was called to order at 8:19 a.m.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's begin with a review of today's agenda. Mr. Simons, anything that you would like to touch on this morning?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Commissioner. So no changes to the agenda itself. Everything that was sent out last Monday has held. We do have one piece of supplemental correspondence received after the posting. Copies were provided to the commission. I believe additional copies are on the desk up front. This is for item 7A, and staff can make reference to it. It's a communication from Kurt Warden, and again, staff can make reference to it when the presentation comes up. Other than that, Chair, we are good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. Let's begin with non-agenda public comment. This provides an opportunity for anyone who would like to comment on something that is not on today's agenda, but is within the purview of LAFCO. We have a speaker here in the room. We'll invite Alicia Morrison to come to the podium and make your public comment.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. The summary of key Brown Act provisions, the preamble reads, public commissions, boards, councils, and other legislative bodies of local government agencies exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. The people do not yield their sovereignty to the bodies that serve them. The people insist on remaining informed to retain control over the legislative bodies they have created. Section 54950, Chapter 1. In the beauty of democracy and during our current struggles today to keep it, it is my hope, my request, that these words consistently echo in your minds and in your heart, that you hear them each time you make an informed decision for the people, and that you hear them each time you engage in conversation with the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, do we have any public commenters participating online?
Yes, we have Teddy Jackson, who's online. If you'd like to speak.
Okay, good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Is that sounding all right?
We can hear you, yes.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. My name is, okay, I can hear you too. Thank you. So, good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Teddy Jackson. I'm speaking on behalf of Protect Rural Escondido, representing residents of Birch and Idaho Avenues, a rural neighborhood. I'm here today because the Aldea development proposal is not simply about housing, it is about annexation as a tactic, specifically a finger annexation to bypass long-standing rural protections and radically upzone land by more than 12 times its current zoning. This proposal seeks to annex narrow strips of unincorporated County of San Diego land into the city of Escondido, not to improve services or create orderly boundaries, but solely to unlock higher density zoning for incompatible high density housing. That matters because finger annexations are exactly what LAFCO was created to prevent. State law established LAFCO to discourage urban sprawl, promote orderly logical boundaries, prevent annexations that serve private development interest over public health and public benefit. This proposal does the opposite. It creates irregular, non-logical boundaries that leapfrog rural land, erase county zoning protections, and destabilize a community that has intentionally remained rural for over a century. The Birch and Idaho Avenue neighborhoods are not a master planned community. They never have been. They are defined by large acreage properties, agriculture, equestrian and farm animal use, and natural landforms. Yet, this annexation offers no meaningful infrastructure benefits in return. No road or intersection safety improvements, no sidewalks, no trails, no park, no dog park, no community open space, no preservation of historic view corridors towards Cowles Mountain, a landmark visible from this neighborhood for over generations. Instead, the proposal includes an aggressive grading plan that would permanently alter Quartz Hill, destroying the natural geographic features define this rural character and the old mining history of Escondido. This land also includes legacy ag parcels that have remained vacant for decades, not because they're blighted, but because they're intentionally rural. Historically, this area matters. These neighborhoods include 3 of the most significant 1900s farm homes in the region that one of them once belonged to President Ulysses S. Grant's family. This is living history, not excess land. And let's be honest about transportation. There are no viable transit options out here. Calling Ramona an employment center does not make this transit-oriented development. It makes it car-dependent housing placed in the wrong location. We are not anti-housing, and we are pro-balance. We are pro-planning that respects contacts, geography, infrastructure capacity, and existing communities and residents. Annexation should not be used to strip residents of their rural zoning and eliminate ag, horse, and impose density without benefits. We respectfully urge the Commission to reject this finger annexation as inconsistent with LAFCO's purpose and require a balanced approach that protects rural communities rather than erasing them. Thank you for your time and your responsibility to the region.
No more comments.
Thank you, Clerk. Let's take up the consent items. Those are items 5A through 5L. Clerk, do we have any public comment on the consent items?
No public comment for consent items.
All right. We do have a comment here in chambers on item 5A. So let's go ahead and invite Ms. Morrison back up to speak on item 5A.
Good morning. So it was 1 year ago today, not today, but this month, that it was my first LAFCO meeting. And I stated that I was going to educate myself and learn about the process and stuff. And in the time, I print the agendas, I try to understand the material and then read the minutes. And I remember at the meeting last February that there was a item about the LAFCO non-membership renewal. And in looking at the minutes, I noticed that the employment agreement, item agreement number 10A, it states LAFCO shall maintain a membership in the California Association of LAFCOs to support executive officers' professional development. LAFCO shall pay for executive officer to attend annual LAFCO staff workshops and etc. So in going back and looking at the budget in May of 2025, priority number 4 in the description, it says work with other LAFCOs to receive and provide ongoing education and legislative advocacy services post LAFCO. So I don't know if this is a breach in the agreement or not, or if it's something that needs to be amended in the agreement, cured and corrected. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Seeing no further public comment on the consent items, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? All right. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Anderson and a second from Commissioner White. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar? Commissioner Aguirre.
Yes, I was wondering if Keen could address the question that the public speaker had.
Thank you, Commissioner Geary. So the question, as I understood it, was whether or not LAFCO, San Diego LAFCO, not being a current member of Cal LAFCO is a breach of the employment contract all of you have with me. Well, certainly my answer would be no, given that the discussion of the commission preceded the decision not to stay with Cal LAFCO for at least a one-year period. That was a discussion that the commission had at some point last year. And as part of our work plan, there was direction which we followed up on in developing an alternative association, the alliance, which Commissioner Becker is part of.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Let's go to Commissioner McKenzie.
Certainly the commission can, but given that our current status with Cal LAFCO is temporary in that we have left for at least the 26 fiscal year, it is possible we return for the 27 fiscal year. So I would advise that it is somewhat a fluid situation and didn't merit an employment or amendment to my employment agreement. The commission is the ultimate purveyor of that agreement. Should you see differently, Commissioner McKenzie, I'm sure Council Garrison can arrange a meeting. So we will be presenting a draft budget and work plan at the upcoming meeting in March, and I'd be happy to dedicate some time to addressing it. We have not come to that decision point yet in terms of what staff is recommending, but it will be part of the discussion the commission will have at a hearing at the March meeting.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the consent calendar? Seeing no further discussion, we have a motion from Commissioner Anderson and a second from Commissioner White to adopt the consent agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis, Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Browning,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Geary.
Yes.
There are 8 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you, Clerk. We have no public hearing items today, so that brings us to our business calendar. Item 7A is proposed legislative amendments to LAFCO law, and we're going to turn it over to staff to present the item.
Very quickly on my end, so Michaela Peters is going to take lead role in this presentation, and certainly myself and Priscilla are available to address any questions that come up. And then also, because this is a unique item, Commission, and deals with some potential legislation, I've asked Patrick Bateller in the back to be ready if you have any processing questions that perhaps former state senator Mr. Anderson would not want to weigh in on, but Pat could certainly discuss in terms of what would be the process going forward. So thank you. And Michaela, thank you.
Thank you and good morning, Chair Whitburn and Commissioners. Michaela Peters, Analyst 2 on behalf of staff. So before you today is a draft legislative proposal which will strengthen LAFCO's effectiveness and timeliness in meeting our growth management responsibilities. So staff has been developing this proposal over the past year with a diverse stakeholder coalition consistent with our adopted work plan, and Senator Laird has now agreed to author the bill. The proposal itself implements key recommendations from the UC Berkeley's 2024 report, focusing on our role in facilitating safe drinking water to communities in need, while also addressing how we can better meet our broader mandates. And as I will further detail, staff is recommending the Commission approve a support position on the draft proposal, and given our standing as a leader amongst California's 58 LAFCOs, take an additional step of offering to support the legislation. So as for some important context in arriving to today's item, members will recall the UC Berkeley report was first introduced in March 2024, and at that time, the Commission expressed support for staff to explore strategies to implement several LAFCO-specific recommendations. The first concrete step followed in November 2024 with the Commission adopting a revised MSR policy incorporating a key theme from the UC Berkeley report, which involves enhancing public opportunity to review and provide input on these planning documents. And as you know, one of our newest procedures requires all MSRs to be taken up at notice hearings with formal review periods for subject agencies, which are features not currently required by statute. A second concrete step followed in March 2025 when the Commission received a comprehensive presentation on staff's efforts to build a stakeholder coalition of like-minded LAFCOs and nonprofit partners. This included outlining specific ideas for developing a legislative proposal, and the Commission agreed to add the effort to the fiscal year 25-26 work plan, and status updates on the legislative effort have followed each meeting. So a listing of the stakeholder coalition is shown on the screen. And now staff comes to you today with a fully developed draft proposal for the Commission's consideration, one that delivers on what we telegraphed back in March 2025, 3 focused reforms, which are summarized on the screen. So first, the proposal would expand LAFCO's initiating powers. Amendments to Government Code would authorize LAFCOs to initiate boundary changes and approve out-of-agency services when necessary and specific to addressing documented public health or safety threats related to water and wastewater, and as locally determined by the Commission. Second, the proposal would amplify municipal service reviews, or MSRs, and amendments would require MSRs to be considered at notice public meetings and would establish a formal feedback loop with affected agencies. Specifically, LAFCOs would transmit a summary of actions and determinations to the agency within 30 days of Commission adoption, and affected agencies would be expected to take up the MSR at their own public meeting and confirm that action with LAFCO within 6 months. This change directly responds to the Commission's work plan directive for greater transparency, accountability, and community engagement on MSRs. And third, the proposal would extend information sharing requirements to mobile home parks that specifically operate community water systems. So the amendments would allow LAFCOs to request information from these entities when conducting MSRs and require mobile home parks to submit boundary maps and respond to information requests consistent with requirements or with existing requirements for mutual water companies. And this closes an identified gap and helps to ensure these communities are fully represented in service planning efforts. So collectively, these amendments strengthen LAFCO's ability to proactively align service delivery with community needs, particularly in the context of drinking water and wastewater reliability for underserved communities, while maintaining appropriate local discretion. With the draft proposal established, staff has initiated outreach to key stakeholder organizations and legislative partners to gather feedback, build alignment, and refine the language where needed prior to formal introduction. The draft proposal was presented to LAFCO's Special Districts Advisory Committee on January 16th, where the committee expressed support, recognizing the proposal's benefits to underserved communities, and recommended expanding outreach to the Association of California Water Agencies, as well as the California Special Districts Association. The item was also discussed at the most recent Alliance of LAFCOs meeting, at which the membership adopted a support and concept position, allowing flexibility for potential revisions to the overall proposal language, particularly item 2 related to MSRs. Individual LAFCOs of the Alliance, including LA, OC, and San Bernardino, are all expected to present and request support from their commissions over the next several weeks, with SD being the first to meet. So as mentioned earlier, Senator Laird has agreed to author the proposal and the unofficial legislative submittal prepared for the February 20th filing deadline, which is attached to the agenda report and located on page 175. And with all this in mind, staff is recommending the Commission adopt a support position on the draft proposal and consider sponsorship given our leadership role across the LAFCO community. So that concludes staff's presentation We're certainly available to go into more detail with any of the amendments, but I will go ahead and turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you for the presentation. We do have several public comments on this item. We have 4 here in the room, and we will begin with a comment from Doyle Morrison.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners, and staff. I'm here today to let you know how frightening it is to read the proposed draft package in item 7A. Not so much for the proposed changes to create a path of clean water and functioning wastewater systems for all in California, which I believe is the intent of the amendment, but for the existing language about annexation that our spirited community of Lincoln Acres has been opposing for over 100 years. Yes, that's before the formation of LAFCO in 1963. As you all may know, the whisper of annexation is a catalyst for a Category 10 tornado directed straight at LAFCO from our community. We see LAFCO as a threat to our existence, a state agency that seems to be powerful enough to negatively change our life in the lost minutes of a commission meeting. It can seem like the great and powerful executive officer behind the LAFCO curtain is pulling all those levers. I would like to see amendments to Government Code 375 that would help Lincoln Acres follow the yellow brick road away from this 100-year-old struggle to maintain the simple life we cherish without looming annexations. I'm asking the Commission to have a heart for the people of California and do not take alternative 3, no action. Have the courage to deviate from the recommended, do not take alternative 1 and adopt this support position, and think a little longer to positively impact the more Californians. Act on alternative 2 to continue consideration of this item to a future meeting and provide direction to staff for additional information as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll invite Patricia Saints to provide a public comment.
My name is Patricia Sainz. Good morning to all. I am here to speak on agenda item 7A. My concern is that many of the residents in our community are unaware of the changes proposed by LAFCO and how these changes can affect the Lincoln Acres community. I am concerned that by the time they realize what the proposed changes are and how it would affect them, it will be too late. I am asking that more information regarding the proposed changes. Sorry, I lost my place. I am concerned that by the time they realize what the proposed changes are and how it will affect them, it will be too late. I am asking that more information regarding the proposed changes be shared with the community in a clear and open communication that all residents can understand. It may be by mail, community meetings, or other outreach. Informed citizens can make better decisions of what is good for their community and what is best for their families. So many people are overwhelmed with their day-to-day lives, whether it is raising families, working 2 jobs to make ends meet, taking care of elderly parents, or simply trying to deal with all the chaos in our country. Lincoln Acres is a disadvantaged, unincorporated community where most of the residents just want to be left alone and for the community to remain as is. Big changes such as annexation could cause major changes that they are not prepared for. No one wants to deal with major changes with the current high cost of living and possible loss of healthcare benefits, etc., that people are now facing. A stronger effort to educate the community before approving this change in policy would be best. I propose alternative 2, continue consideration of the item to a future meeting and provide direction to staff for additional information as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Louise Saints.
Good morning, Chair Whitburn and Commissioners. I'm here this morning to speak about Agenda 7A. I have read the draft legislation proposal and other related literature. To be honest, it is quite complicated and convoluted to have a clear definition as to everything that the authors are proposing. What I do understand is that the proposal will change and remove the people's right to protest any changes to our community. specifically Lincoln Acres. This proposal attacks what a lot of us in the community have been dreaded and fighting for many years. And that is that this will pave the way for complete annexation and elimination of our coveted Lincoln Acres. In this proposal, it talks about, and I quote, is a condition to the annexation of an area that is surrounded or substantially surrounded by the city to which the annexation is proposed. The commission may require, where consistent with the purposes of this division, that the annexation included the entire island of surrounded or substantially surrounded territory, end quote. Lincoln Acres is that island. In the last 43 years, we have had 2 or 3 ballot measures where my community of Lincoln Acres could have been annexed to the city of National City. Fortunately, the ballot measure failed because our community members did not want to change and lose the country feel that we live in. By removing the power of the people and allowing LAFCO to gain further powers to make these decisions and others for us is unreasonable and wrong. The grand majority of our community members do not even know that this meeting is being attended, what is being proposed, and how it will affect them. Lincoln Acres is made up of class-working people. Most don't have time to be here to oppose or agree with proposals that would affect them. I don't remember ever seeing anyone from LAFCO at our community civic meetings, no written material, mailers, etc. I don't believe there was reasonable effort to reach the people, that these changes and others will impact them. In these uncertain times that we now live in, where we are losing our constitutional rights to freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom to protest, freedom of the press, please do not take our right away to vote to what community we elect to live in. I propose alternative 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Morrison, please come up to the podium.
Good morning. I strongly oppose the recommended alternative 1 to adopt a support position on the draft proposal amendments with any specified revisions. To me, the draft proposal looks like a death sentence to the existence of my community of Lincoln Acres. I would like to better understand it, and I would like an opportunity for questions. LAFCOs are a subdivision of the state of California. LAFCO's authority is already codified under the Cortese-Knox-Hexberg Act. My recommendation, continue this item for a future meeting and provide direction to Ms. Mumpower and the General Public Commissioner Browning to do an outreach so people can better be informed and given an opportunity to ask for additional information. The current LAFCO Commission makes decisions based on staff's research, reports, presentations, and recommendations. Recently, this LAFCO has demonstrated a practice of not adhering to their policies. For example, policy L107 that was brought to this commission's attention during the public comment during December's meeting. And let's not forget back in June when staff recommended waiving policy A109 if needed when it came to appoint 1 member representing the general public. Policies are in place for a reason. Specified by state law, California Government Code, Section 56325, the composition of the commission shall include 1 member representing the general public with the option to also designate an alternate. Where are the community engagements for the general public when this item was being written? For number 1, the stakeholder coalition, and number 2, that included public advocates out around the coalition, and number 2, this agenda item. How come there was no outreach for the general public other than a phone call from Ms. Mumpower last Friday afternoon? Most community members are not aware of LAFCOs or their role for the state of California. This item and draft proposal needs to be dissected and discussed so that the general public and people in the community can have a better understanding of it. Give us real examples we can actually understand and relate to. There are community-sponsored groups, community planning groups, civic associations, where there are gatherings of community engagement. Have any efforts been made to educate and inform them on the draft proposal? There was plenty of information provided on Prop 50 to educate and inform voters. How is this any different for a legislative draft proposal? People have a right to protest. U.S. Constitution, First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. These are rights that people collectively must have if they are to have a say in their government. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the speakers I have in the room. Clerk, I don't see any speakers online unless you see any.
Not, not online, but I did receive 2 email comments this morning around like 6:30 and 7 a.m.
Okay.
If you would like me to read those.
No need to read them, but you could distribute them to the
Yes.
commission.
Okay, and I'll post them online as well.
Okay, thank you. And there was also a letter that has been distributed to the commission as well. All right, let's begin our commission discussion on this item. This is an action item. It will require a motion if that is the will of the body. Any commission discussion on this item? Any motions on this item? We'll go to Commissioner Becker.
Okay. First of all, thank you for those thoughtful comments. It's clear that this is something that's really important to you, and I'm sorry that you didn't get the information you needed beforehand. I have had the opportunity to read the UC Berkeley report, and for me, I do understand that it's a worthwhile endeavor to bring this the safe drinking water to underserved communities. What my issue today is I'm finding a little bit of that maybe these proposals are not tailored directly to that issue. For me, the problem I'm seeing is I don't really see the nexus with the MSRs and the way that we're directing that the cities and the special districts that we do MSRs for, we're as another state agency directing, taking away the local control of those cities and how they want to present that to their public. So I feel that there's really not a nexus with the clean water and the safe drinking water. But that's a little bit different than what you have brought to me today. So now I'm kind of considering what you've said too. But I know that our executive officer is aware of my comments. I've expressed them to him before. And so I guess for that, at least that second provision, I'm just wondering if we can request that special agents and cities do how they would like to present the MSR to their cities. Maybe that goes on their website. It is a public document. It's a public meeting at LAFCO. It's on their website. How the cities and the special districts, like we've got the new, first time ever doing a report for the Port of San Diego and for Sandag. Those were tough calls. Those agencies did not want us doing MSRs. And now we're going to go back and say, and by the way, now you must do it this way. You must present it at a public hearing. You must come back to us and tell us that you've gone through all those maybe 20 recommendations. I just find that we don't need to be doing that with this legislation. I think that this legislation can be tailored to what it really needs to be, is that we do want safe drinking water and safe wastewater for these communities. So for me, maybe there's different language. Maybe there's a request, not a requirement for that issue. And I'll leave it at that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Becker. Further discussion on the item, Commissioner Aguirre.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I have a few questions I'm hoping that I can get clarity on. So who typically initiates the alert to LAFCO when a septic system fails or wastewater related health issues emerge? Is that a process community driven or property owner driven?
Typically, a property owner would be the initiating, I've got a problem. They would probably reach out to county and or LAFCO at that point.
Okay, thank you. And then can you explain if and how Proposal 1 impacts the consultative process LAFCO undertakes with subject agencies and others involved when initiating the boundary changes and extraterritorial service agreements?
So Commissioner Geary, so we anticipated there'd be some questions about how this proposed change would play out among with the existing statutes. With your and the chair's willingness, could I ask Michaela to put a slide up on the screen and then just walk the commission through what existing statute has versus how this would be interwoven with the proposed legislation? Thank you.
Yeah, so we have our procedural flow chart on the screen. I have it split up into two screens. But anyway, so this amendment for LAFCO would just be to initiate annexations for specifically for water and wastewater, and only on a response to a documented public health and safety finding. So this would go through any other annexation process at LAFCO. So if the commission were to initiate an annexation, we would then go into a community meeting, which would be required before LAFCO could take action in order to assess the support of the reorganization, change of organization. I'm just going to say change of organization to make it simple, amongst residents of the affected territory. So then after we go through the community meeting, and assuming there is support from the affected community, the commission would need to approve the LAFCO-initiated annexation at a public hearing. So if the commission determines the change of organization is not warranted, which you'll see on the left of the screen, proceedings are terminated. If the commission determines the change of organization is warranted, the commission will then adopt a resolution of application. So after this, the subject agency will then have 60 days to request termination of proceedings from the commission. Once the 60-day period is over, the executive officer can then go ahead with preparing a change of organization study or an agenda report like we bring to you often for annexations, with a recommendation for the commission to hear at a public meeting. If the commission does not approve the recommendations, proceedings for the annexation are then terminated. If the commission approves the findings and recommendation, an additional hearing must be held within the affected territory. So for example, last year we took up an annexation in the Padre Dam Municipal Water District, and the conducting authority hearing for that proposal was taken place in their board member, allowing for members of the public to attend and protest. So after that step, there are three things that can happen here. So if at this conducting authority meeting, we receive less than 10% protests from the voters, the change of our organization can go through successfully. If we receive 10% protest, an election must take place. And in this case, if the majority of voters within the affected territory are in favor, the change of organization is successful. If the majority of voters are not in favor, the proceedings are terminated. And if 50% or more of the voters within the affected territory protest, the proceedings are terminated here. So in short, if LAFCO is the one applying for this annexation, we've thoroughly vetted the process with the subject agencies, and we're both on the same page together. Does that clear up?
Thank you. That's super helpful. Just a follow-up question. So 2 questions actually. So what is considered a community meeting, and how does the engagement process take place for that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I may defer that to Keen if possible.
Absolutely. So thank you. So Commissioner Geary, a community meeting is loosely prescribed, not defined, but prescribed in the statute that's being presented today as something that's been noticed, and that involves the subject agency or agencies and the affected landowners and registered voters. So that's the prescription of who would be invited. Certainly it would be up to the individual LAFCO to further define it relative to local conditions. And just for the benefit of context, most key statutes that you implement, whether it's the sphere of influence or municipal service reviews or outside services, are prescribed in statute, and then we bring you local policies, and this commission chooses on how you actually want to implement them. That, Commissioner, would probably be one of the discussion points. How would you like to further define locally what a community meeting would look like, who would be involved. As Michaela mentioned, just to drill down on this point, existing statute requires subject agencies, landowners, and registered voters all sign off on annexations. For landowners and registered voters, it's based on 50% plus one. They can protest, and if there's more than 50% who don't want something, it doesn't happen. The proposal before you adds an additional step, which is this community meeting. So let me stop there and see if I've answered the question.
She gave an example of what community meeting vehicle was used, right? One of the Padre Dam hearings, right, in their chambers, I imagine. So did you use their outreach tools? Like if they have a listserv, do you announce it through their listserv? Because it's one thing for us to publicly notice a hearing to our listserv, and wherever we do that, sometimes it's required to do it in the paper or something. But if we're not targeting the specific community that is going to be affected, to the point of somebody who raised it earlier in the public comment, how would they know?
Very good. So certainly they would know by way of the LAFCO notice to the affected landowners and registered voters. And then through your policy, and this is where staff would come back and say, okay, now that this bill is on the way to becoming chaptered, how do you want us to go about the noticing that's beyond the mandatory? So we would ask the commission, to what level do we send out notices? You know, is it a 300-foot buffer? Is it a X number buffer? Does a member of the commission attend the community meeting, or is it delegated to staff? So these are all good questions that would need to be refined.
Further fleshed out. Okay. And to your point about the voter thresholds, that must be registered voters. And if I'm a registered voter in the affected area, how do I get notified? And how do I provide feedback? How do you know there's 10%, 50%?
So with that, and I'll defer to Priscilla or Michaela for the details, we do go to either the assessor's office at the county or the registered voters office, and we say, here are the affected parcels. Can you give us a list of whoever's the landowner or whoever the registered voters? Additionally, if you were to say, we want a 500-foot buffer, we would then, with Due's help, go on GIS, create an expanded list of properties and say, we also want those landowners and registered voters.
And then the registrar of voters or the assessor sends out an email, a call, a text. How do they?
They would provide that information to LAFCO, and
we send that out.
Yes, then we would send that out to the landowners, registered voters, at a minimum, those in the affected territory, right?
And what's the mechanism?
The mechanism would be under the proposed legislation. It says at a notice community meeting, and notice has a trigger in LAFCO statute with respect to a 21-day in advance publication in the paper and letter or notices to the subject agencies and the landowners and registered voters within those parcels.
Got it. Thank you. That's very, very, very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for indulging, Chair. I just have a couple more. Will municipalities that are subject, the subject of the municipal services review be engaged in the recommendation setting process, or will that be driven solely by LAFCO staff?
So that would be another component of the policies that would come, and each of the 58 LAFCOs could decide how they would want to engage the subject agencies on the mechanics of how they review it. But what is proposed right now, and Patrick can speak to, probably we expect it would be refined through the legislative process, is that LAFCO complete an MSR, and then within 30 days, this proposed legislation would tell us, send a notice to those subject agencies with a copy of the full report and ask that they put this on a notice meeting agenda, not a hearing, but a notice meeting agenda. We anticipate right now the legislation is vague enough to allow subject agency to either put it on consent for receive or file, or hopefully, this would be our goal, they would actually have a discussion at their home agency and the constituents there could engage the decision makers. But as I'm learning, Commissioner Geary, what is being proposed and what Commissioner Becker's thoughts are probably true to form, that there are probably going to be some revisions to the language. And if I could ask Patrick maybe just to come to the podium quickly, as I'm learning, there is a likelihood that this particular language that Commissioner Becker has flagged is going to be smoothed out. Patrick, could you?
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. To your point, Mr. Simons, this bill will go through, policy committee and a fiscal committee where there will be ample opportunity for the League of Cities, individual cities, and others to opine. Both the Alliance of LAFCOs and the legislature will have an incentive to do their best to keep costs down for cities as they figure out how we ensure that there's some sort of communicative and meaningful notification of this MSR. So I think for our purposes, we'll be giving ledge updates as the bill moves forward. But it's in the legislature's interest to keep costs down for local governments, and we plan to work with them on crafting this in a way that will do so. Otherwise, frankly, it could get tagged as a fiscal bill and would have a hard time moving forward out of the Senate and Assembly Appropriations Committee. So we do expect some of that to change, and we want to make this as easy as possible for everybody.
I appreciate that response and absolutely understand the perspective. But the folks that spoke are my constituents for my district, and I want to acknowledge their concerns, and I want to make sure that we have guardrails that ensure transparency and the opportunity and ability to have a thorough and robust democratic process for those that may be affected. I also I want to acknowledge the concerns from Commissioner Becker regarding local control. I think that that's also a valid concern. This is not an easy decision. I'll just preface my comments by that, because obviously we're trying to balance what's best for everybody as it comes to water supply and wastewater and public health, but also being very mindful that we have enough guardrails and mechanisms in place. Not to say that we don't already, but they could always be improved in ensuring that we have a democratic process. So I would be at this point, I look forward to hearing others comment, but at this point, I wouldn't mind continuing this item, because I think this is an important decision for us that needs a lot more discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aguirre. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we participating in the working group, or is there an opportunity for us to participate in the working group?
Yes, we are part of the working group,
Okay,
a San Diego LAFCO.
thank you.
If I could just add to Commissioner Anderson's question, not only are we part of the working group, but as Michaela mentioned in her presentation, so this has actually been part of our work plan for the last year. And so admittedly, we've somewhat driven the process to date. And one of the reasons we've come at this point to ask for your formal approval of the bill in terms of supporting it in concept, but also if you're willing to take on a sponsorship role, most likely a co-sponsorship role with Senator Laird's office, is it allows us to remain in the driver's seat, if you will, in terms of being able to provide extra guardrails as Commissioner Aguirre, Commissioner Becker, and others may have. There is a February 20th deadline for bills to be submitted. So while a continuance is certainly an option, we may lose our place in being able to be in the front row.
I'd like to make that motion that that we do take that driver's seat and that we continue with this process. If we don't take it, we run the risk that somebody else writes it, and then we're going to be opposing it, as opposed to making sure it's correct. And when you're in the driver's seat, you control a lot of those aspects. clearly we have great concerns. And so we should be at the forefront. So I'm making the motion that we take that position.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. As I understand your motion, it is to support the staff recommendation to support the proposed law and also to be a sponsor of the legislation.
To be the sponsor, but also giving staff direction to make sure that our concerns are on the foremost being heard.
Understood. Okay. Let's go to Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes, I have a couple questions. You said that this went to the advisory committee and they were all for it. Did this go to the Alliance? And what was their position on this bill?
Yes, this item did go to the Alliance, and most members were on board, and we ended with a support and concept position, and this was mostly in regard to Amendment 2 for MSRs. We just wanted to work on the language.
So what was their amendment to the MSRs?
There's no amendment yet to the language that we've proposed already. We just kind of ended the conversation with we need to work on the actual language for this amendment. I'm going to go ahead and turn to Priscilla Orkeen to add some context.
Yeah, thank you, Michaela. And I think she expressed exactly as it occurred. So we did proceed forward with the meeting at the Alliance. Commissioner Becker expressed some of the same concerns that she did today. And so we ended with a support and concept, meaning we'll come back to the language and revise based on further direction from the Alliance membership. And I, if I could, wanted to just quickly address, there was a question, Commissioner Aguirre, that you had asked on just the MSR process and whether agencies would have an opportunity for the recommendations. I just wanted to quickly touch on your MSR policy does prescribe that already. And so we have a 60-day review period where the agencies we're working with them on the recommendations that are going to be in the executive summary. So within those 60 days, they have an opportunity to work directly with myself and our staff to refine those. And so I just wanted to come back to that and address it.
I have a couple other questions, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
I know there's a motion on the floor,
Yeah.
but the Berkeley report, which is referred to by staff a number of times, one of their comments, and basically several places throughout the document, it says that there needs to be coordination and alignment actions by state and local regulators, which is the State Water Board. So in the last 2 years, what have we accomplished in working with the State Water Board? Because they can and they do initiate annexations or dissolving, or, they get to that point if there is basically enough problems with the water at this point in time. And they do look at mutuals, and they also look at cities, and they look at mobile home parks. So they're doing the work. And what I'm concerned about is one of the comments in here that you're relying on the commission to document health and safety to the community as determined by the commission. The state board has experts. Out of their 5 members, I can only remember 3, but they have an attorney, they have an engineer, and they only have 1 public member. So they have experts on the dais to be able to make a decision as to whether or not to move forward and in what manner to move forward. So it seems to me that we're taking a lot of what the state board and even the regional board, their job. We do an MSR, but how long does an MSR take? Is it a month, or is it going to be 6 months, or is it going to be a year? What I've seen with some of these more convoluted ones, it's going to be longer. You're going to have people who are protesting. You're going to have to do a workaround with them. And I think you're putting us, the commission, commissioners into a position of making a decision that probably the majority is not qualified for. I mean, I'm the only water district that's ever been on this commission. So I do have some insight as to what the state does and what their how they go about determining what's good, what's bad, and what the criteria is. So we're going to be looking at and going back to the state board. You know, I think for a lot of the information that they already have and that they're working with. So I have a problem kind of overstepping boundaries and taking on their responsibility. And I will make a substitute motion that we continue this item. I'll agree with Commissioner Geary.
Okay, we have a substitute motion. Well, it does not have to be a substitute motion because at this point there is no second to the original motion. So would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we continue this item.
Okay, motion to continue, and we have a second by Commissioner Willis. And the executive officer wanted to reply to one of the items that you corrected.
So Commissioner McKenzie, we have a very good relationship with the state and regional water quality control boards. We've done one annexation already in Palma Valley, if you may recall last year, where the state initiated a consolidation, an annexation of a mobile home park with the Palma Valley, Mutual Water Company, or CSD. We've completed that. We also have a proposal on file involving Wolford Lake that the State Water Quality Control Board has initiated, and we've been in contact. Representatives of both agencies, regional for wastewater, state water resources, water, have been brought into this discussion. The proposal language you have before you says that the commission will draw on their input as well as the County of San Diego, who are also experts in determining when a well or a septic system has gone south. The commission already makes a determination on public health and safety findings under your statutory duty on 56133, the outside service extension. So again, you are already tasked with that responsibility. Staff provides you information, and then your role as a delegate of the legislature is to make a determination, not a finding, but a determination based on all your growth management responsibilities. Does this make sense? So again, the state water boards have been part of this process. We are acknowledging their input as part of the legislation. Certainly continuing the item is a fair alternative. However, to Commissioner Anderson's comment, we will miss the February 20th deadline at that point, and we will no longer be part of the front row. So it is certainly up to the commission.
Thank you. Let's go to Commissioner Delaney.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments. I want to reemphasize the importance of notification. Being from an unincorporated area, Fallbrook Planning Group, we often don't know some of the things that are going on, even though those of us are really involved in county government and all that. So I think that that's a really important aspect. And maybe if we take the lead on this, we could write more specific ideas on how to get the word out. So I think that that's a really important thing for us, and I just wanted to reemphasize that.
Thank you, Commissioner Delaney. All right. Yes. So we should give some thought to something here just as a matter of timing. It would be good to try to land this plane in the next 10, 12 minutes or so. We've got at least one commissioner who has to leave at 10, and we do have the chair and vice chair election also on the agenda. So let's see if we can land this plane by 9:30. If not, I will ask the commission if we want to trail this item to the end of the meeting and take up the chair and vice chair election, so we can do that while everybody's here. But in the meantime, let's keep going on this. I think we have Commissioner White and then Commissioner Becker. Commissioner White.
Yeah, I'll keep this quick. I just want to second Commissioner Geary's concerns about transparency. But I also agree with the supervisor, and I would like to offer a substitute motion, which was his original motion. I think staying in the driver's seat is probably the most important part of this.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have. All right. We have a motion from Commissioner White. We have a second from Commissioner Anderson on a substitute motion. So just to be clear about where we are, we have a motion from Commissioner McKenzie, a second from Commissioner Willis to continue the item. We now have a substitute motion from Commissioner White, seconded by Commissioner Anderson, to adopt the staff recommendation and be a sponsor of the legislation. Commissioner White, was there anything else that you wanted to add? Okay, we have Commissioner Becker, and then I think we have Commissioner Aguirre.
Oh, surprisingly, I was going to come back to a substitution motion, and thank you, Commissioner White, for that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Aguirre.
Well, quick question. So through the legislative process, I thought you can add co-sponsors all the way up to before it gets to the floor.
You can, but the senator has asked that if we are going to sponsor, co-sponsor or sponsor, that we raise our hand before February 20th.
Did he say he will not accept our co-sponsorship?
No.
February
But
20th?
right now, no one else has agreed to sponsor. So we may be the sponsor up front, and I see, I'll defer to.
Well, I'm not done.
No, I can add clarity if you like.
On the legislative process?
Mhm.
Okay.
So when you're the original sponsor, you're really in the steering.
Sure.
Everyone else is a me too. They're on the paper, but they don't have a seat at the table. So you're always going to be a junior member. We have such grave concerns. Being the sponsor would have the most influence in making sure our concerns are, and you can always vote against or pull your sponsorship down the road if it goes terribly south. But being first really matters in this process.
And I understand that. And we do also have the option to pull out if need be. So I get that. But I think, we need to make sure that we get this right. I don't want to feel like we're being rushed or pressured into something that still perhaps potentially merits further discussion. That's all. Quick, Commissioner, I understand your perspective of having individual expertise, but I think all of us bring, something to that effect to this table. I, for example, bring over 20 years of wastewater and stormwater and water quality improvement plan experience. So I think I just wanted to mention that quickly. But I still have two lingering questions I want answered. Will moving forward with these changes open us to possible litigation or exposure through CEQA? Because now we're effectively driving the policy?
If we're determined to be, if we're no longer a responsible agency and we're the lead agency, it would be. And I'd have to review the bill to understand whether or not that would make us a lead agency.
Okay, so technically, by requiring cities to do X, Y, Z, instead of suggesting, we could be opening ourselves to exposure from agencies that are affected, I guess you could say.
It's possible. I just can't say definitively because I'd have to see whether CEQA would determine whether in that situation we're the lead agency.
Commissioner Geary, so specific to the MSR component?
Yes.
So, and I apologize. So this commission makes recommendations and provides comments to the affected agencies, but the agencies, as proven in the past, can simply say, thank you, LAFCO, for your input, and they don't take it up. So specific to the MSR component, number 2, there is no project under CEQA. It's an information document.
So it wouldn't qualify as.
Yes. But to Alex's point, just to be full disclosure,
Yeah.
under number 1, if LAFCO is initiating the application, absolutely, we'd likely be the lead agency under CEQA. But we're the lead agency under CEQA on other things. So that would be part of the decision making. And you ultimately, not staff, the commission decides whether to actually adopt a resolution application. And you would, part of that discussion would be, what's our commitment on CEQA?
Okay, got it. Just one more as it relates to mobile parks, because mobile parks are a specific type of, they qualify under state direct regulation as far as housing. So when it comes to the options that we're discussing, would that make mobile parks potentially more vulnerable to I'm having trouble phrasing this question, but my concern is displacement. I've seen it happen. I've seen it's the last naturally occurring affordable housing that we have. And sometimes we've seen some instruments used to displace people to then convert them to luxury condos. So, or something like to that effect. I'm totally oversimplifying this, but it's a concern that I have that I'm hoping you can elaborate on to ease my concern.
Absolutely. So the component now number 3, right? There's 3 legs to this proposed legislation. The third being information sharing with mobile home parks. This is simply to address a gap or gray area in the statute where right now LAFCO has the ability to request information from mutual water companies. There are mobile home parks that look and act like mutual water companies. They run a community water system, but because the existing language is gray, they will not respond to LAFCO when we ask for information. This would bridge that gap and allow LAFCO to be able to at least engage mobile home parks that operate a water system so that when we have a Lake Wolford or a Palma Valley mobile home park that their system goes south, we can already line up the cards and get them to a public water or wastewater provider without impact to the residents.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aguirre. Commissioner Browning.
I've worked on a lot of legislation in Sacramento, and it just feels to me like there's too many unanswered questions. This doesn't have to be a bill that comes forward this year. I mean, I've seen lots of bills that go to 2-year bills. We have 18 days to figure all these questions out, and it feels like it's way too rushed for my comfort level.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning. Other commission comments? All right. We have a substitute motion that is on the floor from Commissioner White that was seconded by Commissioner Anderson. That, if passes, would supersede the motion that was originally made by Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Willis to continue. I will share, I guess, first of all, that I really appreciate the robust discussion that we've had on this. I want to thank everybody from Lincoln Acres who turned out to share your perspectives and concerns on it. And I appreciate the robust conversation that we've had here on the commission, talking about the concerns, teasing out some of those concerns. I am comfortable moving forward with this. I will say why. First of all, I think there is almost zero chance that anybody is going to annex Lincoln Acres without Lincoln Acres knowing about it. I mean, I've seen you here in past meetings. I see you here today. You're very on top of what LAFCO and other agencies are doing. We heard about how there would need to be a community meeting. This commission would have to approve even initiating any kind of annexation. There would have to be, there is the right to protest. The community could kill it. The LAFCO would have to approve the ultimate annexation. Not only would you certainly be aware of what's going on, you would have the ability to be a deciding factor on it. So while I appreciate you keeping a close eye on what this agency is doing, I don't think that you're going to find anything surprising coming out as a result of this legislation. And in regards to the concerns around local control and having cities be having a noticed hearing on MSRs. I will say at the city of San Diego, with civil grand jury reports, we are required to respond to civil grand jury reports. We oftentimes do that as a public meeting, and we approve the city's response to it. It oftentimes goes quite quickly. But you can also put these things on an agenda as an informational item that technically is a public meeting. You can adopt it on consent. I think those are all possible approaches so that if an agency didn't want to have a lengthy discussion on an MSR, putting it on consent as an information item would meet the requirements of this law. I also think that our executive officer and Ms. Mumpower and Mr. Buteller have heard loud and clear the concerns that have been expressed by this commission around ensuring that the concerns expressed by Lincoln Acres have been heard and are not injured by anything that happens with this legislation. And likewise with the local control that it would, in fact, this legislation preserve the ability for a modest approach to a public meeting on that. And I do think that staying in control of this legislation is a valuable seat for us to be in. I also hear the concerns of my colleagues on this commission, and I will absolutely understand anybody who approaches this issue differently, but I will express that I will support the substitute motion that is on the floor. And with that, again, we have a substitute motion from Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Anderson that would adopt the staff recommendation to support the legislation and register as a sponsor of it. And I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
I'm going to vote no on this one.
Commissioner McKenzie, Commissioner Browning, Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Becker,
Yes, but I want to have the caveat that I support in concept.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Geary.
No.
So there's 4 in favor with 4 opposed.
All right, that is a tie vote. A tie vote fails. So the substitute motion, thank you. Substitute motion fails. That brings us back to our original motion, the motion from Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Willis to continue this item. I will ask Commissioner McKenzie, is it your intent to continue the item to the next LAFCO meeting? Okay. Commissioner Willis? Yes. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to continue this item until the next LAFCO meeting. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion, clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue.
Commissioner Whitburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Willis? Yes. Commissioner McKenzie? Yes. Commissioner Browning? Yes. Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Geary?
Yes.
There are 8 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much, clerk. Thank you again to the public and the commission for the really robust discussion on that item. We will hear it again next month. All right, let's move to item 7B. 7B is our chair and vice chair appointments. Every year, this body elects one commissioner as chair and another commissioner as vice chair for a 1-year term. The way we're going to do this is we will begin by taking public comment on this item, if there is any. Then we'll take up the chair appointment first. We'll start by taking nominations. Commissioners can nominate themselves or they can nominate another commissioner. If there is more than one nomination, we will give the nominees an opportunity to say a few words. Then the commission will have a discussion, and then the commission will vote to elect a chair. After we elect a chair, we will repeat that process to elect a vice chair. Before we invite public comment, are there any questions about the process? Seeing none, let's go ahead and take public comment if there is any. I don't have any speaker slips here in the room. I don't see anybody online wishing to comment. Clerk, can you confirm that there is no virtual public comment on this item?
No virtual public comment.
Thank you, Clerk. All right, let's take up the chair appointment. I am not seeking reappointment. I have served 2 one-year terms as chair. I very much appreciate the commission electing me to this role twice. It's been a pleasure to serve in this role. I don't want to overstay my welcome. So we're going to elect a new chair this morning, and we are going to open it up to nominations. I will begin by nominating Commissioner Becker. Are there other nominations for chair?
I'll second.
Okay,
nomination.
doesn't require a second, but we will note that Commissioner Aguirre seconds it.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay, we have a nomination for, by Commissioner Willis, to nominate himself as chair. Do we have other nominations? Any other nominations? Other nominations for chair? We have 2 nominations for chair, Commissioner Becker and Commissioner Willis. Do I have a motion to close nominations? And do I have a second to close nominations? Okay, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of closing nominations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, nominations are closed. With that, we have 2 nominees for the chair position. We'll begin by giving Commissioner Becker an opportunity to say a few words. We will then give Commissioner Willis an opportunity to say a few words, and then we will open it up to commission discussion. Commissioner Becker.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And in deference and respect to Vice Chair Willis, I do want to state that we did have a former commissioner who, despite this longstanding tradition in this commission, where we just rotated simply between the differing members, we have 5 different categories. At that time, it was made very clear that for partisan reasons, I was not going to be vice chair and it was going to be Commissioner Willis. And I objected at that time, and I'm just objecting to that today because I don't think that that's how this commission should be run. We have a lot of important items on our agenda as seen today, and I think the role of the chair is to lead with neutrality. We need to be able to be cohesive and effective in everything that we do here. So I've also noticed in the staff report that it's been since 2016 that we've had an at-large cities member. So I just think that we, out of fairness, and we have the opportunity today to get back on that kind of simple rotation if we can. And I'm happy to step up as chair if that's what the board would like.
Thank you, Commissioner Becker. Vice Chair Willis.
Been on LAFCO 7 years now. Served as vice chair for 2 years now. I'm not a fan of the rotation method. I think that you could consider a rotation of the area as part of the equation. But my belief is that we should choose whoever is the strongest candidate. Who's the strongest candidate for chair? That's my argument. Now you can include the area as part of it, but I don't think it should be the full weight. That's the only criteria. Is there from that different area? So I'm like I said, I'm not a fan of that. Ever since I ran in 2019, I made it a point to visit every special district. I visited every single district. And I had to get their vote. At the time, I think the first year it was like 63 agencies. This last time around, it was around 53. So I have become I think that makes me a much stronger candidate. No offense. I think it makes me a much stronger candidate since I'm very familiar with the districts. And I've learned a lot. I know how many districts there are in Julian. I know them very well. I know a lot of the smaller districts very well. That is an advantage that I would have that would be an advantage that I have as a chair. So I think those are the main thoughts I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Willis. All right, let's open it up to commission discussion if there is any, and we'll begin with Commissioner White.
I just have a question for clarification. I actually like the idea of going back to a rotation. What was the rotation and where would it go from here if that's the road we went down?
I will turn it over to our executive officer to refresh our memories on where we were.
Let
with
me
that.
refresh my memory. Up until essentially the COVID era, there was a practice, never a policy, Commissioner White, in which these 5 blocks that the commission is divided on. You have at-large city members, City of San Diego, County of San Diego, public, and then special districts. There was an informal agreement in which there was a rotation, and I think on our staff report, we provide that over the last 10 years, what that looked like. At some point, the practice went away, and I think what Commissioner Becker was identifying a few years ago, that was kind of the flashpoint in which that practice went away. Certainly, other commissions have a prescribed rotation. I know that I previously worked at a county where there was a prescribed rotation. If that was ever the interest, we could pursue that. However, I also worked at a county where they purposely didn't want a rotation because they wanted the ability to discuss the topic as it comes up. We can follow up with any policy direction as the commission sees fit.
Can I clarify
Yes.
for one thing? I'm not advocating today that we make a policy on rotation. I'm just merely stating that the problem with what happened last time was clearly for partisan reasons. And that is the one thing that if we had a policy, I would like that not to be part of the policy. And that was the problem. He clearly stated the partisan reasons. Some of us were here and some of us remember, and that's the part that I am against. I'm not saying that we have to automatically rotate. I think it should be who's got the experience, who I think all of us have enough qualifications to be the chair. But so I just wanted to make that clear that I don't want to today say that it must be rotated, but it just got off track from that one moment, political partisanship, and I just think that that's wrong.
Thank you, Commissioner Becker. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Aguirre.
Thank you. I think, I don't know where the vote on this will land, but based on the past vote where we were deadlocked, obviously that we deferred to, the original motion, but my comment has more to do with the makeup of this board. The fact that it's an 8-member board presents a challenge in itself. So, I had this conversation with Keen earlier today, but I think it would behoove us as a board to consider that in the future. And I asked does this require legislative fix if we were to pursue a 9th member? And it does, is my understanding. I just want to take this opportunity to put that on the table because this may become a constant challenge for us to have an even number board. So I would be interested in expanding the role of community by having 2 public seats, given that we have pretty much 2 of each of the other ones. So that's that. My second question is, procedurally, do we have in our bylaws the ability to, because I'm thinking, okay, let's say we appoint a chair, we appoint a vice chair, but what if the chair can make it? And what if the vice chair is unable to make it? Then what happens? A lot of the boards I serve on have a chair pro tem, including our board, which I am the chair pro tem of. There's a third option. So I was curious to learn about what our options are regarding that.
Commissioner, currently your rules do not contemplate a third option. So if the chair is absent and the vice chair is unable to perform, it's an open question.
So our rules, does that have to be considered at a meeting by us? Is it a simple?
It would have to be separately agendized, and this commission can come up with a solution on how to address that question.
Got it.
Should you want to address it?
Just procedurally, I had that question. So I am happy to support Commissioner Becker for chair. Thank you.
I'd like to make one more comment.
Yes, Commissioner Willis.
Yeah, I just want to, I did note that there's a lot of precedent here. Joe McKenzie was vice chair. I'm saying this because I am vice chair. Joe McKenzie was vice chair before she became chair. Jim Desmond was vice chair before he became chair. Stephen Whitburn was vice chair before he became chair. So I'm just pointing that out, that seems to, I mean, that's a very legitimate reason to become chair. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Willis. Yes, Commissioner Delaney.
Just one other comment regarding a ninth member, since it was brought up. I think the unincorporated areas are underserved. We don't have a vote on this commission. And I think if we are going to be talking about that in the future, that I think we need to look at representation for the 550,000 people that are in the unincorporated areas that should have a vote on this commission. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Delaney. All right, further discussion on the chair nominees. Any further discussion on the chair nominees? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to a vote. We're going to do it by a show of hands. What we'll do is the nominees again are Commissioner Becker and Vice Chair Willis. And we'll do a hand raise for each one of those, and whoever has the most raised hands will be the chair. We'll begin with Commissioner Becker. Those voting for Commissioner Becker to be the chair, please raise your hand. I count 7 votes. Those voting for Commissioner Willis, please raise your hand. Okay. Congratulations, Commissioner Becker. You will be the next chair. The vote on that was 7-1. We will now move to a vote on vice chair. Are there nominations for vice chair? We will take nominations from the floor for the position of vice chair. Commissioner Anderson. Okay, we have a
Commissioner Willis.
You'd like to nominate Vice Chair Willis for Vice Chair. Okay. All right. Further nominations for the position of Vice Chair. Further nominations for the position of Vice Chair. We'll ask one third time. Any other nominations for the position of Vice Chair? Okay. Is there a motion to close nominations for the position of Vice Chair? We have a motion. Do we have a second on the motion to close? We have a motion and a second. To close nominations for the position of Vice Chair. All those in favor of closing nominations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, we have one nominee for the position of Vice Chair. Up to you if you would like to say a few words or if you'd like to go to a vote.
Let's go to a vote.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and we are going to do a voice vote on this one since we have a one nominee. All those voting for Vice Chair Willis to continue as Vice Chair, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Congratulations, Vice Chair Willis. Thank you for your continued service as Vice Chair. All right, that concludes our officer election. We will now move to item 10, which is the Executive Officer Report.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few items on my end. First and foremost, I want to thank still Chair Whitburn for his 2 years of service. I know I speak on behalf of staff. You have done a yeoman's job in helping us stay the course with some difficult issues, notwithstanding even some issues with your home agency, and you've done it with remarkable statesmanship. So thank you. And congratulations to soon-to-be Chair Becker and Vice Chair Willis. We look forward to working with you. A couple of housekeeping notes. Glad that Joelle is back with us. She is now back with baby and arm, but we're at full staff, and we haven't been at full staff for a while. And then I also want to acknowledge we got a couple of new staffers to our respective commissioners. We've got Bridget Nasso in the back with Commissioner Whitburn, and then Dion Akers, formerly actually with the City of San Diego, now staffing Commissioner Becker, and we look forward to working with them as well. So with that, thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask, not our staff to be important. So I would love for Bridget and Dion to work for LAFCO, but they're actually staffers for our commissioners. So Bridget is a staffer for Stephen Whitburn, but a staffer who works with your staff on all LAFCO items. And then Commissioner Becker's, Dion Akers, works for Solana Beach and for Commissioner Becker. But like Kyle in the front seat with Commissioner Geary, I wanted to acknowledge you will see these pleasant faces in the audience, and they are part of the family, not just, but unfortunately not for us, a part of our employment team. Yes.
Yeah. Commissioner Anderson.
I wanted to echo what Keen said. You did a phenomenal job over the last 2 years. We had a lot of pivotal issues, a lot of tension. You handled it with grace and you made us proud. So I just want to thank you for all your service. If you would have accepted a third term, I would have been tempted. So
thank you, Commissioner Anderson. I appreciate the kind words. It's been a real privilege to serve the commission in this role, and thank you to each of you for the opportunity. All right. Are there any commissioner announcements or requests for future items? Yes, Commissioner McKenzie.
For our next election.
Is that, so that is a policy direction. So I would ask if there was some consensus on staff working on that. Okay. So we can bring this up as part of our staffing with the chair and vice chair on work plan projects and see where it lands.
All right. We will leave that in the hands of Commissioner Becker and our Chair Becker and Vice Chair Willis. Any further commissioner announcements or requests for future items? All right. Good meeting. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.